clip 24, I finally come to the subject of climate and climate change. And you might see that from my previous videos on the 17 series, I'm in the same terrain, and I've moved even up further to where my cattle graze. And if you look on in the background, you'll see a cow and her calf. And if you look right around, you'll see the same right across. And then you see all these wind turbines there and all the digging out. And the cost of that wind farm would buy 50 good quality 4-bedroom semi-detached houses in Stillorglin or other reasonably good area of Dublin. Or it'd buy virtually the parish of Kingscourt, the town of Kingscourt, and it'd go well to buy most of the centre of Carrickmacross in County Monaghan. It just beggars belief that all of this is going to be paid for by a bit of a breeze blowing across here. But that's the way it is, and my prediction is it's going to lead to an economic collapse of some kind, or some economic grief. It will certainly deprive our grandchildren of their pensions, if nothing else. But there are a few points need to be made about it. The policy of Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Sinn Féin, and nearly all of the politicians in Dáil Éireann, with the exception of the Healy-Raes, Mick Fitzmaurice and perhaps Matty McGrath, is to get rid of these. Now I know people say, oh, he's extreme, they don't want to get rid of them all. Well, there has been money allocated to help me and others deal with the effects of Brexit, because I normally bring some of my weanlings to market and some of my older cows to market at this stage. And the uncertainty around Brexit is a problem, and it's reducing the price. And all the inputs that I put in will not be paid back. But it's on the leaflet I got that I have to agree to reduce my stock. And I am a suckler herd, and I produce some beef. Meanwhile, the dairy industry is expanding. So they want this stock reduced. Meanwhile, the EU has signed a deal, pronounced the Messicor deal, or the deal with South American Trade Association, to allow in beef from South America. And we know right now, although it's slightly exaggerated, vast areas of the Amazon rainforest, the home of some of the most original and pristine species in the planet, and possibly holding some terrific medicines and cures, is on fire, is being burned. And the hypocrisy of this is unbelievable. I need a coping mechanism to deal with it. 11,000 years ago, there was a mile high of ice here, and that subsided, and the temperature has been gradually increasing, but there have been mini ice ages back in the medieval period and all that, and that's all happening. But we have a relatively pleasant climate here at the minute, and they're telling us that's going to change. The whole place is going to heat because of CO2. My cattle produce CO2, but no account is taken of the fact that the trees, the grass, all absorb CO2. They fix CO2 in the ground. And when I go along with my digger and dig out a whitethorn bush or try to do some repairs, you'll see the brown carbon soil underneath it where it has been fixed in the soil. So I would make a point that no examination has been given as to what exactly the carbon footprint of these cattle is. And it's quite possible that when you count everything I do, including spreading manure and all that stuff, and it being regrowing, and the amount of trees that's kept on the farm, that these cows are carbon neutral. But they want rid of them. And the same government that wants rid of them wants data centres here. They love the idea of Amazon, Google, etc. coming in. And it's been admitted by EirGrid that they'll have to increase the fossil fuel generation capacity of Ireland by a quarter to cope with the Data centres. Now, fair enough, if our three political parties and our government want to discriminate against me, my fellow farmers, in favour of Apple and Google, that's fair enough. It's not fair, but that's the way it is. But what is wrong with the farmers of my community and my county and my constituency and the farmers of Ireland? They'll go out and they'll vote for these. A day or two before the election they get the call from the established party offices. You won't forget us. What hold have they on them that you will vote number one for your own destruction? How can they be so stupid? Now I know you may say there's no alternative, but there is no doubt if there was an alternative in the morning, you might get 3 seats. And that is the problem, because the established parties know full well that they can get away with it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm as much entitled to farm my land that my family have been here for 200 years as far as we can count. And my roots go back several hundred years in this community. And so does all my neighbours, more or less. I can see Dundalk virtually over there, the Cooley Mountains. I can see the Mourne Mountains. Sometimes you can actually see a tip of Colin Grove in Colin. And if you go up high enough, you may actually see the Wicklow Mountains. Over here to the west is County Cavan. And if you go up high enough there, you'll see the Kilka Mountains. So the idea that we, the ordinary people of Ireland, and the rural people, and our supporters in Dublin, and we have a lot of supporters, can vote for this absolute injustice is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. And I'd love to hear from any farmer, some of whom are right now protesting outside the meat plants trying to get fair play. If you want a decent price for your livestock, what is the point if you can't even have them, if they've already started to cull them in favour of the very same product produced under far less stringent conditions with no supervision in Brazil, in Colombia, in Argentina, and the destruction of the habitat that's there? Admittedly, this habitat was once destroyed, but that's hundreds if not thousands of years ago. We can't change the past. And you have the ridiculous situation of them promoting forestry. They want me to forest this whole area and have it burnt off somewhere else. How can Irish people and European people be so stupid? And when RTE lambasts President Trump, at least he sees that. At least he does not go down that road. And I would agree with him on that. We are suckers for punishment. And will we ever change? I don't know. I hope we do. Because there's no doubt if they get their way, in 20 years' time, there won't be an animal around here. And they've shown they cannot continue to roll out wind turbines. There's no market. That's not going to work. It doesn't even work as it is. So what are they going to do with the land? They don't know themselves. They're probably just taking their instructions from Angela Merkel, who doesn't know either. And we have to live and try and survive. And we're being driven out after years and years of trying to get independence from Britain so we could run our own land, run our own farms, own our own farms. And it took an awful struggle to get to own our own farms. And were it not for that struggle, we would still be paying huge rents to English landlords. It took a huge struggle, and I won't go into it now. But yet, at 19 minutes, but yet, we agree with this. There's not a whimper. What is wrong? Is it a lack of education? Why do we voluntarily follow the Pied Piper to our own destruction? Folks, thank you very much for listening in. And I just want to finish. I don't know, can you hear that? But I have one supporter who obviously hears me. He's just across the ditch. He's a jackass, and he's after letting a few huge balls. I just hope it comes in on the camera, for he supports it. He agrees that even he sees how ridiculous our policy is. And when are we going to get the common guts and courage as Irish people to say no, run these creeps of politicians out and let somebody else in? It won't be me, but we'll get somebody. If you can decide you're going to support us, we will find somebody. You are better with somebody, as I said before, with one eye, one arm, one leg, and nothing in his brain, than the crowd you have, because at least you don't have the deceit. You don't have the deceit that's instilled in our present political system, and which I am convinced it will lead to destroy us, and it's making us feel silly. The fact that this has been pushed over on intelligent people has to be frustrating. It has to make us feel stupid, and we just need enough of you to come on board and say, no, we're not having it anymore. And I guarantee you, the very minute the political parties realise we have them copped on, you will see a sea change straight away. But anyway, a few years will tell, because if it goes on the way it is, there'll be no turning back. And no youngster will want anything to do with farming or the countryside. And the whole country way of life will go. And do Dublin people really want to live in a city where there's no environs outside? Do they not want there to be a Connemara? Do they not want to be a Donegal, a Kerry, a place to go out and look and bring their kids? We have minded it, we have taken good care of it, and this is the thanks we get. And it's Dublin 4 voting for those green loonies that is causing this and has started it. But it's our own traditional parties, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin, that are pushing it big time. And they must hate us big time. They must absolutely hate us. As to what we did on them, I don't know. I don't think it's what we did on them. I think it's that we have proven we're silly people. And I think they just love taking the mickey out of us. I think they just love abusing and driving us out and seeing that they can do it. And it's up to us to decide. Are we going to take it, or are we going to stand up and do something about it? Thanks very much. We'll see you back then for something else in a while. And I'm glad me battery stuck it, so it's great. And I'm glad the donkey tuned in to give me a little bit of his support. So, bye.